The night was quiet. Only the sound of desert winds moved across the empty land. But on that night, the stars above seemed brighter, as if something heavy was about to fall from the sky. A farmer working late on his land looked up when he heard a roar like thunder. A streak of burning light cut across the heavens, brighter than the moon. It was not a shooting star. It was something much bigger, something alive with strange blue fire dot. The object screamed across the sky and vanished behind the mountains with a terrible crash. The ground shook for miles. Dust clouds rose, and animals scattered in fear. The farmer stood frozen, his heart racing. He had never seen anything like it. People in nearby towns said the earth trembled like an earthquake. Many believed a meteor had fallen. But the truth was far stranger. When morning came, the crash site was found. Hidden deep inside the desert canyon, a massive structure lay broken and smoking. It was not rock, not steel, not anything human hands had ever made. Its skin was dark silver, glowing with strange lines of light that pulsed slowly, as if the machine itself was breathing. The shape was unlike any aircraft on Earth. It was too large, too alien. Pieces of metal, shattered like glass, lay scattered. Across the sand. Soldiers were the first to arrive. They pushed people away and covered the wreck with large tents. Reporters were told it was just a fallen satellite. But the soldiers knew the truth. This was no satellite. This was a ship. And it was not from Earth. Inside the wreck, the air smelled of fire and strange chemicals. Walls hummed faintly, though broken and dying. Some areas were filled with alien writing that no one could read. Symbols glowed and faded like whispers from another world. The cockpit was shattered, seats torn apart. There were no bodies, no crew. Whoever had once flown this ship was gone. Years passed. The wreck was moved underground to a secret base. Governments told the world nothing. Scientists and engineers were brought in. They studied every piece of the alien starship. They cut wires, tested metals, and tried to open doors that refused to move. Some doors sealed themselves again as if the ship was alive. Many experiments failed, but the humans never gave up. One night, a young engineer named Daniel stood before the wreck alone. He touched the cold surface of the ship and felt something like a heartbeat under his palm. The hum grew louder, and for a brief second, strange lights ran across the walls. He pulled back in fear. The ship was not dead. It was sleeping. Daniel told the others, but they laughed. They said it was just his imagination. But the ship remembered his touch. And in the darkness, deep inside its broken core, something stirred. Meanwhile, outside the base, rumors spread. Locals spoke of strange lights in the desert sky. Farmers heard low humming sounds in the night, as if the earth itself was alive. Some said shadows walked in the sands near the mountains, tall and thin figures with glowing eyes. Fear grew, but no one could prove anything. The government worked in silence, hiding the truth from the world. But questions remained. Why had the aliens abandoned the ship? Why did they not return to claim it? Was it too damaged, or did they fear something waiting on Earth? The more the humans studied, the more mysteries they found. The ship's armor could heal itself slowly, closing cracks like living skin. Its power source was still active, though broken. No human technology could explain it. The more they tested, the more the ship resisted, almost as if it hated being touched. And then one night, alarms screamed through the base. Guards ran into the chamber and saw the wreck glowing brighter than ever before. Strange symbols danced across its surface. A deep rumble shook the ground, and for a moment, the ship almost came alive again. But then it went dark, silent, as if mocking them. Daniel stood there staring. He whispered, "It's not broken, it's waiting." For years, the humans had believed the starship was just a wreck, abandoned and useless. But slowly, piece by piece, they were learning the truth. The ship was not simply a machine. It was something greater, something dangerous. And though the galaxy had left it behind on Earth, humanity was about to claim it. They would not abandon it. They would awaken it. The forgotten wreck was no longer just an alien mystery. It was about to become humanity's secret weapon Asterisk. For many years, the wreck slept beneath the desert. Soldiers guarded it, scientists studied it, but no one could truly wake it. To most, it was nothing more than a strange puzzle, too advanced for human minds. But to Daniel, the young engineer who had once felt its heartbeat, it was alive. He could not stop thinking about that moment. The pulse, the lights, the silent whisper in the dark. Every night after the others left, Daniel returned to the chamber. He carried no tools, no machines, only his bare hands and his stubborn hope. He placed his palm on the same cold surface. At first, nothing happened, but slowly the faint hum returned. The ship remembered him. Weeks turned into months. Daniel studied the alien symbols carved into the walls. They seemed random, but he noticed patterns, like music, repeating notes and rhythms. He copied them into his notebook, drawing strange, glowing lines that made no sense to the others. "It's like a language," he whispered. But not words, commands. One evening, he drew the pattern on a digital screen and projected it onto the ship's surface. For a moment, nothing changed. Then with a low roar, the wreck shuddered. Broken panels slid aside, revealing hidden chambers. The scientists ran in, shocked. The ship had opened itself for the first time in decades. Inside, they found glowing crystal tubes, humming with unknown energy. Some were shattered, leaking blue light that floated like mist. Others were intact, their power still strong. Okay. Scientists gasped. This was not just technology. It was power beyond anything Earth had ever known. Word spread quickly inside the base. Teams worked day and night trying to harness the energy. Some said it was dangerous, too unstable. But others, including Daniel, believed it was the key. With every new discovery, Earth was learning to think like the builders of the ship. They were not just copying, they were adapting. But the more they studied, the stranger things became. Tools left near the wreck would sometimes vanish, reappearing melted or reshaped. Lights flickered when the ship breathed. Even the computers around it began to behave oddly, showing codes no human had written. It was as if the wreck was testing them, deciding if they were worthy. And then one night the ship answered. Daniel stood alone again, watching the pulsing lines. He whispered the symbols he had memorized, speaking them like a prayer. The ship glowed brighter. A deep voice, not human, not mechanical, echoed in his mind. He fell to his knees, his heart pounding. The voice said only one thing: "Awaken." The ground shook. Sirens screamed. The entire base trembled as the wreck roared back to life. The broken engines flared with blue fire. Panels reformed, metal sliding into place. What was once a carcass was now moving, alive again. Soldiers panicked, pointing guns, shouting to shut it down. But no human could stop it now. And then, just as suddenly, it went quiet. The lights faded. The engines cooled. The wreck lay still. But something had changed. From that day on, the ship no longer resisted them. Its doors opened more easily. Its systems responded to touch. It was as if Daniel's command had reached deep inside, telling it to trust humanity. The wreck was no longer a corpse. It was a child learning to walk again. The scientists were divided. Some feared they were opening a monster. Others believed they had found the future. But the military saw only one thing: power. If this ship could be repaired, it would be stronger than any weapon on Earth, stronger than any fleet in the sky. So they began. Engines were rebuilt with human technology fused to alien design. Cannons from Earth's warships were connected to strange glowing ports which multiplied their strength 100-fold. Steel armor was welded over alien skin, creating a hybrid beast, part human, part alien. The work was slow, dangerous, and costly. Many accidents happened. A scientist was burned alive when a reactor flared. Another vanished in a burst of blue light, leaving only shadows on the wall. Yet the work continued. Humanity's nature was clear. They would not stop, no matter the risk. Years passed. The wreck transformed. It was no longer just an alien ship. It was something new, a fusion, a creation born from two worlds. And it was awake. But far above Earth, among the stars, someone was listening. The awakening had sent a signal, a whisper across space. Alien eyes turned toward Earth once more. The ship they had abandoned was not dead after all. And worse, humans were giving it new life. Fear spread in the alien councils. They had left the ship behind for a reason. It was a relic of war, a weapon too unstable to control. And now, it was in the hands of the most unpredictable species in the galaxy. Back on Earth, Daniel stood before the glowing ship. Its lights, reflected in his eyes, steady and calm. He knew what it meant. Humanity was no longer waiting for the stars to come to them. They were building something that would let them rise into the heavens. The awakening of steel had begun. In the far reaches of space, far from Earth, an ancient council gathered. They were not human. Their faces were scaled, furred, or carved with stone-like skin. They were the rulers of great empires, lords of countless fleets. And on this day, they all stared at a single glowing screen showing a signal. An old voice, long silent, now alive again. The signal came from Earth. From the ship they had abandoned long ago. For centuries, the council had believed the warship lost, broken beyond repair. It was left on a primitive planet, forgotten like a burned-out torch. No one feared it anymore. But now, the ship was awake. And worse, it was not the builders who had repaired it. It was the humans. Whispers filled the chamber. They cannot control it. They are not ready. They will break the galaxy. But deep inside their voices was something they refused to admit. Fear. Humans were still young, only crawling into space with weak rockets and fragile satellites. They had no great fleets, no colonies among the stars, yet their nature was dangerous. Unlike most species, humans did not surrender when faced with the impossible. They adapted, they learned, they survived. And now they had turned a broken alien relic into a living weapon. The council debated what to do. Some wanted to destroy Earth before the humans grew stronger. Others feared such an attack would only awaken their rage. One elder spoke a truth that chilled them all. If they could wake a dead ship, imagine what else they can do. Back on Earth, the project was no longer a secret among the powerful. Leaders of nations demanded access. Armies argued over control. But the ship seemed to ignore politics. It responded only to those who touched it with respect. Daniel was one of them. Others tried to command it with greed or anger, but the ship resisted. With him, it whispered. And every time it whispered, humanity advanced. Weapons grew stronger. Energy flowed like rivers of light. Engines that once coughed and died now roared with power. The ship was becoming more than a weapon. It was becoming a symbol. Humanity had always been seen as weak, small, trapped on their blue planet. But not anymore. The first test came quickly. Late one night, deep space scanners lit up. Unknown ships entered the solar system. Alien vessels, sleek and dark, moving fast. They carried weapons glowing with fire. They had come to take back what humanity had claimed. Panic spread across command centers. Earth had no fleet strong enough to fight. But in the underground base, the alien warship stirred. Its lights flared, its cannons hummed, its engines thundered. For the first time, it rose into the sky under human command. Millions on Earth watched as a colossal shadow lifted through the clouds. It was not fully alien anymore. Its surface was patched with human steel, its weapons a mix of two worlds. It looked scarred, monstrous, alive. The alien ships saw it and hesitated. For years, they had told themselves humans were weak, but what they saw in orbit that night was not weakness. It was power. The first shots were fired. Alien lasers cut through the void, slamming into the human ship. Shields flared, shields no human scientist had ever built. The ship responded with thunder. Cannons roared, blue fire tearing through alien hulls. One ship exploded instantly, fragments burning across the stars. The others tried to retreat. But the human warship pursued with speed it should not have had. Every shot was brutal, precise, final. Within minutes, the invaders were gone, destroyed or fleeing into darkness. On Earth, people cheered. The world had seen its first real battle, among the stars, and humanity had won. But in the alien council, silence reigned. They killed them all, one whispered. With a broken ship, another muttered. If they can do this now, what will they become in a century? Fear spread across the galaxy. Messages flew between empires, warning of the humans. Armies were ordered to prepare. Some whispered that it was already too late. The humans had found their place among the stars, and they would not stop. But on Earth, the victory was not without cost. Daniel stood in the control chamber of the ship, listening to its deep hum. The ship had fought fiercely, but he felt its strain. It was strong but not unbreakable. And he knew something else. This was not the end. The aliens would return, with larger fleets, greater fury. And when they did, humanity would be ready. Because the galaxy now lived with a new fear. The fear of humans armed with a weapon the stars themselves had abandoned. The galactic fear had begun. The battle in Earth's orbit had ended. The human warship, the broken alien relic reborn with human steel, had stood tall, but Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The aliens who fled would not forgive. They would return, and next time they would not come with a small fleet. They would come with fire and fury. In the underground command centers of Earth, generals and leaders argued. Some wanted to hide the ship again, fearing the galaxy's wrath. Others demanded they build more, using the wreck as a blueprint. But one voice spoke above them all, Daniel's. He stood before the council of leaders, his hands clenched. They will come again. If we wait, they will destroy us. But if we strike first, if we show them what we have become, then the galaxy will fear us forever. It was madness, some said. Earth had never started a war beyond its own sky. But slowly, one by one, the leaders agreed. Humanity had always survived by fighting back, not by bowing down. And now they had a weapon no one could match. The decision was made. Humanity would not wait for the galaxy to come. Humanity would deliver the first strike. The warship was prepared for its first true mission. Engineers worked day and night, reinforcing its armor, repairing its scars. New weapons were fitted. Missiles, railguns, lasers, all fused with alien energy conduits. The ship growled with power. It was no longer a wreck. It was a predator, sharpened for the hunt. Daniel walked the halls of the ship, feeling its heartbeat in every step. The walls pulsed with blue light, brighter than before. It was as if the ship itself wanted war. When the day came, the world held its breath. People gathered in cities, staring at the skies as the great warship lifted once more. It cut through the clouds, engines roaring, a shadow against the stars. For the first time in history, Earth was sending not a probe, not a shuttle, but a weapon of war into the galaxy. Its target, an alien forward base hidden near the edge of the solar system. The same species that had dared to attack Earth now waited there, preparing for a larger invasion. The warship arrived silently, hidden in the shadow of Saturn's rings. Alien ships floated near the base, confident and calm. They did not expect humans to come to them. Daniel stood at the command controls. His voice was steady. Fire. The first strike of humanity echoed across the void. Missiles streaked out, faster than light, slamming into alien ships. Explosions lit the darkness, turning steel into fire. Railguns followed, their slugs piercing hulls like paper. Alien vessels broke apart, silent screams lost in the vacuum. The base tried to respond, its cannons glowing, but the human warship was faster, sharper. Shields flared, engines roared, and in moments the base itself was torn open, ripped apart by blue fire. The aliens panicked. They had always seen humans as prey, but now they were prey themselves. Their fleet scattered, fleeing into the black. Humanity had struck first, and struck hard. Back on Earth, cheers erupted when the signal arrived. The first strike was a victory. Humanity had taken the fight beyond their world. and they had won. But in the alien council halls, chaos spread. Reports came from their scouts. The humans were no longer defending, they were attacking. With only one ship, they had destroyed a forward base and scattered a fleet. The elders stared at each other with cold fear. They are not afraid. They have taken our weapon and made it their own. If one ship can do this, what happens when they build more? The galaxy trembled. For the first time in centuries, the rulers of empires felt something they had long forgotten: doubt. Inside the warship, Daniel walked alone through the glowing halls. The ship hummed softly, almost like it was proud. He placed his hand on the wall and whispered, "We did it." But deep inside, he knew the truth. This was only the beginning. The galaxy would not forgive. Armies would gather, fleets would march. War was coming on a scale no one could imagine. Still, Daniel smiled, because humanity had shown its strength. They had delivered the first strike, and now the galaxy would never again see Earth as weak. The galaxy had seen many wars. Empires had risen and fallen, but never had the rulers felt such fear. One single human ship, rebuilt from a forgotten wreck, had destroyed fleets, crushed bases, and struck fear into hearts that had never trembled. Before in the Grand Council chamber, voices clashed like thunder. "They must be stopped," shouted one commander. "Destroy Earth before they spread," cried another. But an elder spoke with a trembling voice. "We abandoned that ship because it was cursed, and now the humans have turned the curse into their strength. Every strike they deliver is not just victory, it is a warning. If they build more ships, none of us will survive." The decision was made. A massive fleet was gathered, the largest in centuries. Hundreds of warships armed with weapons that could tear moons apart moved toward Earth. The galaxy would unleash everything to crush the humans before it was too late. On Earth, the news reached command. Satellites showed the alien armada moving, closer each day. Fear spread across nations. Ordinary people looked to the sky, waiting for fire to fall. Many thought this was the end. But in the underground base, Daniel stood inside the glowing halls of the warship. The ship pulsed with power, its lights brighter than ever. It was no longer just a machine. It was alive, reborn in humanity's image. The generals asked him, "Can we win?" Daniel placed his hand on the wall, feeling the steady heartbeat of the ship. He whispered, "We don't have to be ready. We just have to refuse to kneel." The order was given. Humanity would face the armada. When the alien fleet entered Earth's orbit, the skies burned. Hundreds of ships blotted out the stars, their weapons glowing like suns. The people of Earth held their breath. Then, from the clouds, the warship rose. Its engines roared like thunder. Its cannons glowed with blue fire, human steel-covered alien bones, scars of battle shining in the light. It was no longer the wreck. It was humanity's heart, forged into a blade. The alien commanders laughed at first. One ship against hundreds? They are fools. But when the first volley came, the laughter died. The warship struck with fury. Cannons roared, missiles screamed, railguns fired like storms. Alien ships shattered, one after another, burning in silence. Shields that should have held for hours cracked in minutes. Every shot from the warship was brutal, precise, final. The fleet answered with everything they had. Lasers cut across the void, missiles rained, plasma cannons tore through space. For a moment, the warship disappeared in fire. "Millions on Earth," gasped. Was it over? Then the flames parted. The ship was still there, scarred, burning, but alive. Its engines blazed brighter, its weapons roared louder. It pushed forward, unstoppable. The battle raged for hours. Alien ships fell in waves, Earth's skies lit with fire brighter than any sunrise. People watched from rooftops and mountains, seeing their defenders carve legends into the heavens. At last, the alien flagship advanced larger than mountains, armed with weapons older than human history. Its cannons gathered power enough to split Earth itself. Daniel stood in the command chamber. His hands shook, but his voice was steady. Now. The warship responded. Its core flared, brighter than a star. Energy surged through its body, flowing into its cannons. With one final roar, it fired. A beam of blue fire wider than a city cut through the alien flagship. For a heartbeat, silence filled the void. Then the flagship split apart, tearing into fragments that burned across the night. Sky. The rest of the alien fleet broke. Commanders screamed for retreat. Ships fled in chaos. The galaxy's greatest armada was no more. On Earth, people fell to their knees, cheering and weeping. Humanity had faced the galaxy's wrath and won. Not with numbers, not with empires, but with one ship. The warship returned, battered but unbroken. Its scars told the story of a people who refused to bow. It landed in silence, resting in the desert once more. Daniel stood before it, touching its warm surface. He whispered, "You're not their weapon anymore. You're ours. You are humanity." From that day, the galaxy changed forever. Empires that once mocked humans now treated them with fear. The Council no longer saw Earth as weak. They saw it as the greatest threat. Because the aliens had abandoned the Starship. But humans had turned it into something greater. Not just a machine, not just a weapon, but the weapon of humanity. And the galaxy would never forget it.